seeing Eggsy on the Hanzo instead of a Reaper or anything like that. We are seeing Spark on the Mei once again. No surprises there. The GC Busan wave, they're running out with quote-unquote new goats, as we see Edison and Alfie on the Reaper.
See, I'm very surprised about an Alpha Yi to the Mei here. This is actually one of the places where they did so well against O2 Blast with their own Mei Reaper composition. But straight away, they're trying to get up onto Alpha, but he's taken out of the fight, put up on a wall by Sparkle as a disengagement tool. So smart.
Smart. Actually, oh, you got to climb that, buddy. You can't just jump at it, unfortunately. And Mortality Field is going to go down pretty fast, and Alfie does get frozen up, but using that Fortified to back off and help the rest of his team is going to be rather helpful. But the issue is, for Element Mystic right now, they're actually losing pressure on the point. Sparkle ends up going down, Edison holds M1 and holds W, and guess what happens? The rest of the team end up dying. Element Mystic are going to forego the first point. MCD picks up 1 kill on the Zen, but that's going to be all of everything from Element Mystic. Unique actually using the ult there as well. Okay, so Matrix also invested by Element Mystic to try and retake. The GC Busan wave just wall it off and just say, well, you know, we can just take the point while they...
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that amplification matrix there, Jules. Not only was it a little bit desperate and potentially in a lost fight, but also if they didn't have the ability to engage onto the point while using it, it was a bit too far back. Unique and MCD are going to swap over onto other heroes now. Unique, not quite sure who wants to play. He is back onto Lucia, was on Brigitte for a second. And looks like they want to try and go for this mirror with the Mei and the Reaper. They've got a huge amount of healing available to them with the Aura heal and, of course, Moira's huge healing through. But the field has got the advantage of having that Coalescence already here.
Well, speaking of advantages, too, I mean, we've only just seen Exy jump over to the Reaper. Edison's so far ahead of him in terms of ult charge. The insta-wall straight into the Blizzard. Nothing you can really do if you're Element Mystic. And that is going to be the team fight done. Again, we're in a situation, Harry, where if we compare this to something like 3-3, where if your team is running the example Winston in the 3-3 instead of the Reinhardt, you're so far behind if you do end up switching over to the Reinhardt because you lose a fight. Same goes for this composition. If you are playing something like a Hanzo to start off with, like Exy was, and then Edison was playing the Reaper, you then switch over to the Reaper yourself, you're so far behind. There's not much you can do. Sparkle has almost got the ultimate too. Edison goes in with a triple kill with a Death Blossom. There's, like, if you're Element Mystic, there's nothing you can do, Harry. Like, GC Busan are going to run all over you. Maybe Sparkle gets ultimate for this last fight, like, just natural ult percentage, like, it'll build up in the end. But GC Busan wave going for the 112. They got 5 minutes and 27 seconds to rotate around this second corner. And Element Mystic, they've finally got tools in the bank to maybe stop him.
Maybe they do. Oh, no, Sparkle, that's not the wall. This could be a huge disadvantage for this entire fight.
Yeah, but Coalescence is still going to come out from MCD, Harry. It's not over just yet. So many cooldowns have been burnt already. You saw Ice Block that used there, as well as the Wraith form, and Sparkle eventually earns his Blizzard too, but they're still playing rather passive. Alfie's almost got another Blizzard of his own as well. They are still moving forward as to GC Busan wave, temper their aggression just for the time being, trying to bait some cooldowns of AM and run away from that supercharger. Jungle's 50% towards his, and Alpha gets little to no value off it.
Purchasing some much needed stability. Blizzard from the back is going to get a few people.
Wait, Sparkle tried to go for the flank Blizzard, and there was just a big speed boost from Daydream. The beat came out as well, so they're actually okay. Now GC Busan wave are just going to run it down Alpha. That was a very ballsy play from Sparkle. It didn't work out whatsoever, and now they're down a key ultimate for this fight.
Yeah, they're going to be running into Blizzard as well, Jaws. Hanbin needs to eat this. If he cannot eat this, there's no way to contest this card at all. And he's already used Defense Matrix.
He has, but he has sent out the self-destruct over the top. A jungler already finds 2. So you're trading for Daydream, but who cares? You've still got Fielder in the back line using that Coalescence as well. XC is also going to go down as Sparko follows. GC Busan wave are going to run through Element Mystic, clean the rest up off the payload, sink it into 3rd point in almost record time.
Sparkle and Exy here, they're shaken, Jaws. Exy just used his Death Blossom on nothing. He tried to run after the Moira, but the Moira has increased movement speed while Coalescence is active. She's just pressing S. Yeah, exactly. You aren't going to be able to beat that Moira, and then he uses... Look at this. Why does he use Death Blossom here? What is this? He's tilted, dude. He's been mental boomed.
Got a Death Blossom on the payload. Ideally, you don't really want a Death Blossom the Moira.
Thank you.
I still get, to be fair, in his defense, when it comes to Reaper, we've not seen him in such a long time. Sometimes you kind of overestimate his damage. And you're like, okay, so it's definitely going to kill people. But the damage does have fall off as well. So the further you are away from somebody, the little damage it does. And you kind of laugh at it if you're a tank. You're like, haha, he does no damage to me because I'm like 2 meters away. And there are some instances, I mean, my particular player as well, I've been like, okay, I can definitely death boss him here. And then everybody kind of runs away and I'm like, yeah, but I'm still doing damage. And really it's like 10 DPS or something silly. Maybe that was what was going through his head. He was like, okay, I'm definitely close. I definitely can kind of find a death boss and kill here and win the fight. Like, but obviously that didn't happen whatsoever.
Yeah,
and he ended up dying.
The nature of shotguns, of course, in video games in general is that, like, if you're more than like 3 meters away, you'd have more DPS by throwing your shoes at them. Just Busan wave though. I'm interested in this. Edison's creeping around on the Bastion. They might try and just take the high ground here. Do a lot of damage to Mystic as they roll out on this same composition they used on Paris defense with the Pharaoh, with the Widowmaker. But this means that there's basically unlimited pressure that Eggsy can exert on the shield if he goes Hanzo. There it is, straight away. Thank you, Eggsy, making me feel vaguely smart. It's the only time I do.
Well, this issue for Element Mystic here is getting through not only 1 shield, but 2 in the form of the wall as well. I can't imagine they're going to use it offensively here at all, just because Sparkle and XD provide such a massive threat. Edison is going to just transfer himself up into high ground. A halt into some extra damage onto Alpha, but they're able to just hide under this tree near this very, very London telephone box here, which is going to be very easy for them to subvert a lot of this damage coming through from Edison. It's him poking the barrel of his gun outside of the shield, not too helpful. Sparkle ends up taking him down. Jungle's also going to fall, means Sparkle can just now lay waste to the rest of GC Busan. And as quick as GC Busan took the first point, Element Mystic, they're going to do the same thing.
Edison's instantly swapping over onto that McCree, the same thing that we saw on Paris, wants that more reliable hit scan damage. Remember, we are on the patch where McCree does have an increased fire rate, so we can do a lot of pressure to that Pharah. Straight away, shields going down. The Oristas will draw their battle lines as Alpha gives up a little bit of space to make sure he's within the healing line of sight of MCD, who's going to be moving the payload forward.
Big Dragon Strike though, but nice halt also. Unfortunately, all of that damage negated, or at least most of it, with that Immortality field. Brings everybody low, but that's a lot of free healing charge for Daydream. Use that Amplification Matrix. Sparkle uses the halt straight through the Amp Matrix. Finds 2 and the mech of Ritz as well. That's a whole lot of damage done with the Nano Barrage, but GC Busan still have the main tank alive, so can cuddle behind the shield and hold on to this corner for the time being.
They're going to have to let the cart move, Jaws. They've only got 3 people. Actually just using a Storm Arrows and Spawn here. Going to swap over. They're on to May Reaper again. And they want to play this mirror, potentially. You know, the second Edison sees this going back over onto the Reaper. GC Busan Wave, they're super confident on this comp. And given what we just saw with basically 3 seconds being used to their attack, they've got no reason to not go into this mirror. They're looking so good on it right now. Never Mystic having to build up a fresh set of ultimates.
Yeah, that they are. Alfie has the ult too. There it is, finally online. Forde has the Transcendence as well to subvert any other damage that could come out from Alpha's Supercharger, maybe. However, they are just approaching around this corner, so it's going to be a little bit harder. And Blizzard gets eaten. Okay, that's one big ultimate now down. Edison does find the kill onto Sparkle, as well as that self-destruct buying a whole lot of space. XC finds the kill onto Jungle, as Edison is now too scared to approach the front line. The High Noon is available. He's trying to demake the Diva as much and do as much damage as he can to hub in, but a new shield is going to get placed by Alpha, and this should be okay for Element Mystic. Eating the Blizzard, that was the key to their victory here, and they managed to do it. High Noon is going to get used, and the Transcenders as well, to buy some more time for Jungle to get back, and it might have just bought them enough. There will be a very, very aggressive Mave wall as well from Alpha to stop Element Mystic from moving anywhere close to this payload now, and the fight has basically been reset.
Yeah, it has. They've used so many ultimate straws. Element Mystic going to be moving in, unfortunately with nothing to their name as well, so an Amplification Matrix here could be all they need, or just a nice ult from Fielder, take down MCD, get rid of the remainder of that healing. You know, Unique's like, okay everyone, we're ferrying back, I can't heal you all up, that ain't what I'm going to be doing. And here, I talk about it a lot, when we cast straws, Amplification Matrix makes you do double damage, and while that is dangerous, what's also dangerous is that it can be a huge boon to your ult economy. Double damage means double ult charge. That means you're going to be getting that Blizzard and that Deadeye very quickly, along with the Transcendence, because Fielder becomes such a powerful DPS while that's available.
Yeah, you can 3-click an Orissa's head. It's pretty devastating. 3 or 4-click. Can't quite remember. It's a long time since I played Zen. Shooting at your shield is fun sometimes. Running straight towards Alpha, well, they're trying to run straight towards Alpha Yi, but the problem is they have to get through everybody else first. A Blizzard's going to come down, but Xe already does the damage. Edgerton ends up falling, and with the Coalescence at his back, he's basically immortal. Fielder's also going to fall, as Ritzers tries to take out the Moira, but that's not going to happen so quickly. He gets instantly demeched, as Xe now runs towards the back line, use the Wraith form to get the quick reload, as he takes yet another life with him. Alpha Yi may have found the kill, but Element Mystic find the cap.
And already, Jules, they have a lower time bank with GC Busan Wave. So what's important now, they need to make sure they do not complete this in overtime. If they complete it at all, otherwise GC Busan Wave, they're going to have that guaranteed draw on the free attack as well. Moving forward, they've got the tools to make it happen. They have the Supercharger, they have the Blizzard, they have the Death Blossom, but Ritz can negate so many of these. If he waits and uses his self-destruct wave, that will be Element Mystic's turn to strike using a speed boost.
Supercharger coming out, brand new shield placed, instantly destroyed. Jungkook is in a whole lot of trouble. Self-destruct used on top of the team fight as well to make sure Xe can't get any additional damage down, but the Blizzard came out just before that happened, as well as that self-destruct on top of Jungkook's head. Nothing you can do. No Transcendence is going to save you now. GC Busan Wave all fall over at the same time, and Element Mystic using that Coalescence to buy even more space and pressure. MCD finds himself yet another kill. That's a quad kill, in fact, for the Moira, as they do wipe the floor with Ritz. Supercharger gets placed, but it's going to do little to nothing as Sparkle's back onto his famous Doomfist, as Element Mystic now only need a couple of meters to sink this payload home.
And we wondered why Alpha's coming in as the nominated Arrestor Jaws. It's evidently because his shot calling is so strong. We saw the Blizzard into the hole, into the self-destruct, getting a clean 3k. They managed to exhaust so many resources because they're like, okay, these guys have now invested the Immortality Field to deal with the Death Blossom, like you can see here. Then they invested the Shield to try and deal with the Blizzard as well as for self-destruct. And when you use the Blizzard, we've got people moving slowly. They used the Shield. Now you can use your own. There's the Halt as well. Drag everyone in under it. Smash them all away. And I like here that Hanbin also prioritized killing that Supercharger, knowing that picks with an aim of the game for GC Busan Wave, one of them could have been fatal. Now Element Mystic, they're back in this game.
It's pretty underrated how much health the Supercharger have. Like, it doesn't have a lot. That's a couple of shots from a Reaper, a quick fan, the hammer, etc. Like, it's not too healthy, and it's obviously very static as well. So if you take that out very quickly, there's not going to be much the enemy team can do to kind of play around the fact that they've got extra damage down. And sometimes you don't even realize it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same kind of thing as Immortality Field. If that comes out, you're like, okay, so I'm immortal in this Immortality Field. And then you hear it go down, you're like, oh no, I'm dead. Like, you don't expect it to go down that quickly, so you're either playing a little bit more aggressive to try and capitalize on the fact that you're either immortal or have more damage, and it can lead to your death some of the time. And that's kind of what happened there. You place it down, you're like, okay, cool, we have extra damage. You run forwards, and it's like, oh wait, it's dead. Like, oh, okay, well, now we have to fall back, but we can't because XD is in our face.
No Bastion this time, Jaws. Back over to the classic. They got the nice Bio-Grenade there onto Jungle, and Ritz does force a bit of positioning from the GC Busan front line. Nice heat there on the Hulk. This is going to mean that Alpha's going to try and claim some space, and they want to try and get those ticks accruing as Jungle comes to meet them.
Dude, look how much ult charge Sparkle already has. He has 70% on that ult. Alpha does end up going down eventually, as that's it. Okay, that's amplification mage just gets used on the corner. This isn't really the best use of it, and to be honest, there isn't much use for it at all on King's Row. It's so hard to kind of put it in a good position where you can affect a lot of a lot of damage on the front line of Element Mystic, because they can just hide behind these structures just so easily. It's so easy to just LOS the entire thing. So you getting up that so quickly is great, but the problem is it's not going to be that effective against Sparkle because he just hides behind the building.
One fight done for Jaws. There has been a minute lost. That's a big halt. They're going to be a follow-up. They no longer have the Immortality Field. That means you can go for the Barrage now if you're Sparkle. Try and get a quick pick and bring this fight into your favor momentum-wise. There's the Nano!
Nano Barrage as well, but I'm not sure he's going to need it. Field it instantly goes down, and now it is just a shooting gallery for Sparkle. Edison also falls. The Barrage is available, Harry, but he's not going to need it. Another Immortality Field goes through, but they are just looking to die on the point to buy some additional time. The Barrage straight onto Battlefiend's head. He's had enough dealing with the Mei. XD was sitting at the back line that entire time as well. No one to deal with him, and we spoke about the advantages of playing the Widow when there's no pressure. XD has the ult for the next fight. The payload gets unlocked, but there's only 40 seconds in the time bank, Harry. GC Busan burnt off a lot of EM's time bank, and there's only wait, maybe like 1 to 2, whoa, 1 to 1.2, not 1 to, no, 1 to 1.5. I was going to say 1.2, but no. I was going to say 1.25, but that doesn't really make sense. 1 to 1.5 fights left. Daydream ends up going down though as XE finds an initial pick.
Yeah, he is going to be blocked off by that wall, and Hanbin's gone down. This is going to signal a disengage, and that isn't the greatest use of a Transcendence, Jaws.
Yeah, they're going to move forward as well as that Blizzard being used. I mean, there's only 10 seconds remaining. Maybe you just invest everything just hoping it works, and it looks like it's going to happen. Sparkle is the only one alive in the corner, but Edison's going to deal with him fairly handily, and now there's only a couple of seconds left. No one can really touch apart from the Diva. Problem is, Haben gets booped away by Ritz. Edison uses that high noon as well. Hey, Harry, so everybody survives. You invest everything into that fight. You know you've only got 17 seconds remaining. There's no way you can retouch if you're all dead. Element Mystic get halted just after the first point, but it's still very winnable. 4 minutes in the time bank for GC Busan.
Super winnable here, and this is why you play the Mei on the defense, Jaws, because Blizzard is such a powerful overtime ultimate, especially on a payload which has a lower sort of like area around which you can contest it, compared to a capture point where you can sort of like go in and out, and a Blizzard doesn't entirely cover it. There are these little corners where you can find yourself not frozen and out of that AoE, but Alpha Yi playing it well. Didn't use a Blizzard on that first point. He knew it was lost, so just use it on the first point, or even the first fight on the payload, because you know the Element Mystic, they are sort of staggering themselves in terms of their lines of engagement. They've got Eggsy up quite far, they've got Hanbin up quite far, Sparkle and Unique thereafter being that sort of like second midline with the Pharmacy. You can pick them all off in sequence, and then when they have to try and get onto the point, guess what? You're running into a Blizzard, baby. Not going to be good enough. Eggsy on the defense coming out with that McCree. It worked out very well for them on Shrine of Nepal. We'll have to see if it will continue to be as effective. Going to be looking for some stuns potentially onto Edison. Maybe a freeze afterwards.
Yeah, well, the key target is going to be Edison or Alfie, right? You want to just flashbang the Mei or the Reaper, stop them using their invulnerabilities, and then you take them out ASAP. If that doesn't happen, your flashbang is basically useless. There's going to be a big wall, but Immortality Field's going to save them for the time being. Daydream focusing that down rather quickly, though. He's going to make sure the rest of the Element Mystic are going to have to back off around this corner once again, and now GC Busan can take precedent on the point.
Oh, this is a very aggressive teleport. Unique's right out of there, and Hanbin's trying to make it work, but the body block from behind.
Oh, that was so good, just keeping him up there. And now Edison can run rampant on the back line. Use that Wraith Walk to actually get out of the way as XE does get the big flank kill onto Alpha Yi. But now Edison is going to rejoin the rest of his team, and he ends up going down. Take it back, and Sparkle ends up freezing him up. Icicle to the face, and he will end up securing the kill. The problem is, GC Busan have secured a tick on the point. 3 minutes now remains in their time bank, and they only need to unlock this to force Element Mystic back. But EM, they got a lot of ults online coming up in this next one.
I like to see the ultimates used before they invest this amplification matrix so they can generate the next ones a bit faster, but obviously matrix comes up so fast you can kind of frivolously invest it the second you see their shield go down. It's going to be a rotation from the back, no disengagement available, but there is a pause available. We have had a disconnect from Edison. He's going to lose all of his ult charge, Jaws.
Oh man, that sucks. I can't, I don't actually know how much ult charge he did have, but regardless of that, like, it's still a whole bunch of ult charge that you're not going to have for the next fight. Alfie's got 84% on Blizzard. Yeah, so no death loss for this fight. Like, there's absolutely no way. A really unfortunate disconnect on Edison there.
It also means they've just committed to an engagement, Joel. So used for speed boost as well, and now they don't have a Reaper. They're solo DPS Mei. That fight is that's a goner. If you just use some wave, you're feeding into him. You're like, we've got to go. It must be a computer issue though, because obviously we're all in a team house. Won't be an internet issue for GC Busan Wave, given they didn't all disconnect. That'd be tragic.
Yeah, ouch.
You hate to see it.
70% on the Death Blossom too. I mean, the Death Blossom, while it sometimes picks up kills, and we've seen a couple of like 2Ks, 3Ks, etc., it does feel like most of the time it's there to just force out other cooldowns, defense matrix, immortality field, like walls, ice blocks, wraith forms, transcendence. Yeah, it's more of a, we're gonna try and bait every cooldown possible with this ult, and then we're gonna go in with our real ult, the Blizzard.
Yeah, it's like you've got to deal with this, but it's easy to deal with. Whereas Blizzard is little bit harder, especially since your mitigation factors can be so easily destroyed by Mei herself. Like, hey, there's defense matrix. I guess I'll just freeze them using M1, and they can't defense matrix my cryo beam, so then I get a free ultimate unless you somehow manage to mess that up. That's like we're going back into game, and just Busan Wave, they're actually trying to fight this, making a big disengagement from the back. Maybe they'll try and get Edison to just TP in from behind, get a big flank kill like he did onto XC, but they're dealing with so many ults for Element Mystic, almost 5 available.
Yeah, Edison resetting his ult counter, unfortunately, like we said. Alfie is trying to look for the freeze onto the D.Va. That Coalescence is doing a fair bit of work and punishing EM, but they're going to stay alive. Immortality field from Unique up onto the high ground, and, well, you're going to die pretty quickly if you don't find a kill onto the amplification matrix. No, onto the, sorry, the drone. God, it's...
The Immortality field?
The Immortality field. What? Like, it's not even just words. It's just those two names are just so long. I'm like, yeah, they're the same thing, basically. Element Mystic now holding up onto the high ground. And now you're running into GC Busan. They have a Blizzard, but there's no way you can just kind of throw it on top. Someone is going to be there to either eat it. They're going to have to use it fairly early, though, as Habin is out of mech. There's going to be a nice halt there as XE does use the high noon. And he gets a bit of damage down as Rich uses that self-destruct to go for the remake.
We are going to see a frozen up jungle, but no one's following through. There it is. Beautiful play here from Element Mystic. This is going to be another fight win.
Yeah, this is going to be all over. Sparkle now just freezing out the front line. And these comms take so long to die as well. You're trying to, like, feed into them, but the issue is, like, you're playing Reaper, you're playing Mei. Like, they are targets with more HP than the normal DPS, and even the tanks as well. The D.Va has to get demech'd and then go down. Orisa's got a whole lot of armor too. Like, these comps take so long to actually reset and then set back up again. It's not like Ghost where you can just run into them over and over again. And now GC Busan Wave, they're a minute away, Harry, from losing this game and their spot in the semis.
Yeah, they're a minute away from ending their contender season, and they don't have any tools really to do this with. The Supercharger is going to have to help generate this Death Blossom, and of course with Blizzard as well. They're on the point, they've got 2 ticks, they need to move on forward, but the same for Mystic.
Yeah, Element Mystic are going to actually now commit onto the low ground, and Field already goes down. And now 43 seconds remain. The beat gets invested by GC Busan as Ritz finds the kill onto XD. Self-destruct on top of the point as well. Jungle ends up going down. He had to hide away, but MCD was on the back line just trying to do as much damage as possible. He initially finds the kill, pops the Transcendence too. MCD coming up absolutely huge. Alpha is going to fall, and now it is one fight territory for GC Busan Wave.
One last fight will do it for them, and they have to just win that one with a payload as well. It's going to be pretty easy, Jaws. They do have ready to go the Death Blossom, and after that they'll have the Blizzard. We talked about how you force out the cooldowns when you go in with a Blizzard, your main ultimate. For Sparkle and Exy, they're just as ready. The Deadeye's good to go. There's 1 tick remaining in a couple of seconds. We're into overtime.
Harbin is going to contest the point, loses his meg instantly. A boop onto Exy to push him away from everybody, and a Blizzard as well on the point. This is the fight they were after. Jungle takes out Harbin. Sparkle is going to go down as well. Edison comes up big with a Blossom. He gets taken out by XE, but the damage has already been done. The point gets capped. As XE and MCD are still alive, luckily Jungle had the healing available and stays alive on the payload. Very quick spawns and short spawns here from GC Busan, but Element Mystic have one fight now in their back in order to seal this 3-0.
It's so hard to contest. They've only just respawned. Unique's gone over to the Lucio to try and speed boost everyone back. You can see Hanbin's positioning to try and contest, but those staggered kills could have been fatal here. GC Busan Wave can claim the map.
A couple of minutes, someone has to touch. Harbin's going to come in, gets booped away. 0.4 meters now remains. Harbin gets demeg'd, insta-killed as well, but they are still contesting. The Coalescence is way too much pressure to deal with, though, as Sparkle ends up going down. The rest of them are going to fall. GC Busan on their last legs managed to cap first and claim King's Row and keep themselves in the series.
And strangely their Jaws, the fact that they only managed to get 2 ticks in previous attacks was integral to how GC Busan Wave managed to win that. It meant that in the time that they had to cap, there was no way that anyone was getting forward spawns from Element Mystic. Even the early kills, because they were in overtime, had to wait so long. That gives you like 12, 13, 14 seconds of respawn time, and they're spawning on the other side of the map. Unique can't afford to wait around on that Lucio. He has to start skating over to try and contest before the match ends. And they just have an undermanned fight. They can't take it. We're up against a Coalescence. Beautiful play there. Just fantastically timed from GC Busan Wave, playing every single mechanic in the game to their advantage and bringing themselves back into this series as we head over to Escort, which is going to be the choice of Element Mystic.
Well, they are one map in. Element Mystic still on match point on 2-1, though. We're going to go over to Escort. We'll see you guys in a moment. Hey guys, welcome back. JC Busan Wave not out of the series just yet. LMK still on match point though. Escort will be our next game mode. Even with the DC on Edison, they still managed to claim the map somehow in some way. Now we are going on to Rialto, a bit of a different map when it comes to the architecture. I want to see Sparkle back on the Farah, and I want to see a little bit more May as well as Edison jumping onto the McCree. I think the McCree has been working rather well, not only against the Farah, but just in general. I think Edison, one of his better heroes is definitely the McCree. I'm going to have to wait and see what they want to play, but what a savior, regardless of that DC. And that can really be a tilter for you as well. It's like, oh man, okay, we lost like 70% ult charge on Death Blossom. We've only got Blizzard for the next fight. Like, oh, this is disaster. But they managed to keep their heads in the game and take King's Row.
Yeah, I think May Reaper's probably the best bet here for GC Busan Wave. They looked so good on it last week, Jules. They beat the best team in our group stage, O2 Blast 3-1. The only loss for O2 Blast suffered was in there last week. They're going for the perfect 7-0 record. GC Busan Wave coming out with a May Reaper before 2-2-2 lock was even a thing. Very effective, even on King's Row as well. Rialto, of course, was one of those classic 3-3 maps, and we can still see a lot of aggressive holds here using May Reaper straight at the start. I want to see some time bank training done here if people are going for these close range compositions. You can also pull out the Doomfist. Let's see who's attacking first. Element Mystic will be the first one, so he'll be setting the pace car. GC Busan Wave will roll out on the defense. And we do have a substitution. Alpha Yi's out, Delight's back in, both from very good Mays, but obviously the only map win GC Busan Wave got was with Alpha Yi, so let's see if Delight can come back and have a bit more glory than he previously did.
It doesn't look like they're holding close either. I mean, this is a map where it is famous for holding close. I mean, especially with the May where you can wall off so many people. Lucio obviously very good at booping people into the river as well. They're not even running that. Looks like they just want to hold the high ground, help Edison and Delight farm as much ult charge as possible. Hello Mystic running out with Xe on the Widow. Widow's really good on this first initial attack here. If people are holding up on the high ground, you can kind of just blink away and hope you just don't get randomly headshot. But it's very close to your spawn anyway, so you can kind of dip your head back in and get healed up.
And second, you see that double sniper, GC Busan Wave have to give up all that space. They don't want the long sight line here, and they can't really peek out here as soon as your shield goes down. Edison may go for a cheeky flank, goes for an arrow, will not hit the headshot, but will connect. And now the payload will drop to the corner. This is one of the most defensible sort of like areas in the game, Jules.
And it is. GC Busan is still going to try and control this high ground. Problem is, though, Habin's going to be able to contest this Hanzo fairly easily. You've just got to save DM for the Storm Arrows. He wants to be able to do that as well, so Xe has a lot of space to move. A small little corridor, proving quite good for the Widowmaker too, but again, has to watch out for risks. These Divas are going to play such integral roles on this, just checking the snipers wherever they do so peak.
Sparkle going over onto the Farah. Edison taking out Z as well. Advocating for sniper dominance, and there we go, Z's back, but Sparkle's down, still under man, not enough damage here for Element Mystic to move forward past this corner. Such a hard point, Jules.
Yeah, Sparkle ends up getting taken out too. Is Unique went for the res, got it off, but Sparkle falling. Again, make sure Element Mystic are in check, and now GC Busan can play around this May, plus play around this amplification matrix too. This is a very, very good point for Amp Matrix, because there is really only two pathways you can come from, and you know they're going to want to just stick on the payload, right? So you can just stick the Amp Matrix right on top of the smaller high ground here where the tree is. Everybody sits behind it, bada bing, bada boom. That's a lot of damage, and Element Mystic are going to have to run for the hills.
Sparkle's in the back. He needs to assassinate Fielder. If he's not doing the shield pressure here, the rest of his team are going to be absolutely destroyed. Look, shield's already down, and there's going to be so much pressure onto Alpha coming through from Edison.
Jungler's taking a whole lot of damage as well from the sideline. Sparkle is actually behind them right now on the Farah and has earned himself a barrage already. Edison manages to get his Dragon Strike eaten. Hubin once again coming up big, eating these key ults. That wall from Jungler, oh, though, Jungle with the hole, but the wall actually stopped XZ from going down. Delight finally finds him. Edison managed to pick off Sparkle as well. Both DPS falling for Element Mystic, but Alpha is still on this payload as the Blizzard comes out. Now Element Mystic have to scatter as the Resurrections do end up coming through.
Edison trying to keep this one contested. He is around the side. Delight's still here, dude. He's still contesting the point, but they are going to eventually get past the hard point of this corner, and there is going to be a hunt for Edison. It's going to be taken down, getting absolutely Tesla'd right there. Sparkle now has the chance to build up towards the barrage again with these long sight lines. It's very hard. Do you get the boop off there? No. Fielder will survive. Maybe a gondola caught him. And now it will be the second hard point. There's so many of them on Rialto, Jaws, we can play around these chokes, and it's so good for Dragon Strike.
Delight used his blizzard in their last fight though, and they didn't actually come up with a fight win at all. And now that supercharger could be used on the sidelines. Dragon Strike perfectly used on top of the supercharger to scurry everybody away, but Sparkle's already in the back with a nano. He manages to pick off Edison, and once again Delight ends up going down. Immortality Field will end up getting used, but Jangu not quick and long for the world as he ends up falling. Bio Grenade was too good for him to handle, and XD is going to just storm arrow his way through the shield and the lives of GC Busan. And now Element Mystic can hold so far forward. Sparkle doesn't need to really worry about anything but Edison from taking him out from the skies, as Element Mystic claim a first point and add another minute or so onto their time bank.
Sparkle right now is a venture capitalist, and it's buy when it comes to space. Look at all of it that's being claimed, and he also manages to reset Jungkook's rotation upwards there as well for a couple of seconds. That means that gives Alpha space to move forward. You can see his shield just under here, and there's the car. It's already halfway through B, Jaws.
Sparkle used the barrage straight on top of Twilight's head. Goodbye to your wall, goodbye to your life, and now they can move on forward. No immortality field either as that gets taken out, and once again used fairly early by Daydream. He has earned himself an ult, yes, but the rest of his team are already going to go down. Nothing dealing with Sparkle whatsoever. It's the pressure game being played, and Edison now forced to switch over from the Hanzo. Very, very little shield pressure now available for GC Busan Wave. They're going to have to rely on Ritz and Delight doing the majority of that damage, as Edison forced to switch to deal with Sparkle's dominance.
Yeah, but they're just going to play hero chess now, right? Edison's given up his ultimate. Sparkle's like, you know what? I don't really want to play the Pharah inside. I'm going to swap over. Goes to the Mei. We're going to see Mei Reaper in response to Mei McCree. It's going to mean a huge amount more pressure onto the tanks. Ritz is going to be so pressured to use that defense matrix here, whereas a lot more sparingly, Hanbin can try and use it. Doesn't have to worry so much about using his self-destruct for a small window here before Delight gets that Blizzard.
I've been now moving forward. He has self-destruct, but gets blocked off by his own wall, so he can't use it. That big freeze, though, coming out on top of Sparkle. It does sentence his life, and he ends up going down. But problem is, you have to deal with XE. XE is just walking forward, as always. And again, it's the tail between the McCree and the Reaper, like you just said. Who ends up winning that more often? Well, it's probably the Reaper, because the consistent damage he can output, plus his immunity with the Wraith form. There's nothing you can really do if you're Edison. You have one roll, one flashbang in a fight. And as soon as you expend those, you're basically dead. And now Edison switching over. Hero chess finally complete with the comps almost matching. Forde has the nano on the Ana. MCD almost has the coalescence though.
Supercharger on the field. Sparkle still asleep. Won't be able to use that for a while as Etsy goes around the back. He's trying to get a little bit of a flank, and they know now that you don't have a Wraith form. That could be a great opportunity to get in onto Edison.
I've got to say though, Sparkle matching Delight almost in his ult charge already. 25% away from his Blizzard. Looks like they're not going to wait for that to come up though, and use the coalescence to engage. What a fat anti-nade. That was 5 people before Exe used his Wraith form in order to cleanse it away, and Edison just marching on forward as well. Beautiful bio from Forde. That's what you want to see if you're the Ana, but it's so hard to actually get those off. That's a more once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to actually land a big grenade like that, because you are playing against so many shields and ways to actually mitigate it. But making it work is going to work out for them for the time being, but a minute and 40, sorry, still remains for Element Mystic to go on the offense.
Moving it around there, like you said, Fielder's a bit of a magician when it comes. I think he curved that grenade in the air, Matrix style. He's moving over now onto the Moirai. More healing throughput, a little bit more damage, of course, when you can use that damage orb. But Edison, he's up high. He has this Death Blossom ready to go. And we've talked about before how this is more of a waste ult. Use it to have people mitigate that ultimate main follow through with the Blizzard afterwards.
Really, really early wall. They want to try and freeze up the Diva once again. Sparkle doesn't care though, as XD just jumps behind the shield. And Jungle wasn't expecting all of that damage coming through. He ends up going down. Same with Delight. You want to freeze out that Diva so you can get the Death Blossom basically for free, or you get the Blizzard for free. Turns out the Death Blossom was enough. The payload continues to move onwards, but they do manage to get the touch. There goes the Death Blossom, instantly dealt with though. Nice Blizzard uses by Delight, getting it actually on the payload, and unfortunately for Unique, he bumped his head into one of those pillars and ends up getting frozen and taken down. GC Busan aren't out of the fight just yet, as they still have ults coming online as Rich used that self-destruct high in the sky. But Habin's one was way better. A double kill for the Diva, and now they're just going to clean up the rest of GC Busan Wave. It's only Daydream left. A couple of meters remained, and Element Mystic finally sinking in.
And there we saw that we actually saw Exe hunting for Edison. while he was looking, like, where's that Reaper gone? I'm pretty sure our ult tracking said they had a Death Blossom, and he catches him after using his Wraith form. He's like, guys, he's teleporting in, and he's trying to get a Death Blossom off. So you actually get a bit of a precast from Unique on the sound barrier, meaning that he does not die during the cast, does protect everyone from that ultimate. And while these compositions are very difficult to dislodge from payloads in overtime situations because of the invincibility effects they have, like the Wraith form, like the Ice Block, it was some great target coordination from Mystic that made it happen. And we actually saw Eggsy get huge value out of the Death Blossom because, like we said, you usually use it to bait out cooldowns like Ice Block, like Wraith Form, Defense Matrix, or a Defensive Ultimate. But actually, it was a little bit too much aggression from Delight. Used his Ice Block early, and then we saw that Jungkook put a new shield down. That means Eggsy's like, oh, I guess if these guys are out of mitigation conditions, I'm just going to W on forward, spend a win, and we're going to see what happens. And what happens is 2 kills.
Don't expect the damage behind the shield. You're like, shield will save me.
Smile.
Mei will save me. Oh, wait, no, I'm dead. Well, unfortunate. Unfortunate. We said, I love how we said mitigation, by the way. It's like, yeah, it's a mitigation of it. You know, just bait out cooldowns and stuff. Just watch it get mitigated and go in Blizzard. And then Eggsy just press Q and it's like, whoa. 2 kills. Well, yeah, well, exactly that. Well, Element Mystic not running Mei or Reaper this time. XC on the Widow. Surprise, surprise. Sparkle is on the Pharah once again. I wanted to see Sparkle back on this. This map is so good, especially on the first point in just hiding with the Pharah. You can get so much damage down basically for free. MCD lands a big bio grenade, and GC Busan Wave spotting the comp that Element Mystic are running. They're going to change up theirs. McCree and Hanzo now on the field.
Okay, so name of the game here is keeping Alpha alive. There's going to be a huge amount of shield pressure coming in from McCree and Hanzo as well as Ritz onto Alpha's shield. He's going to have to continually disengage while Sparkle and Eggsy look for picks. If Sparkle and Eggsy can't get picks before Alpha's overwhelmed, then it's going to be GC Busan Wave's fight. It's going to be very hard to hold this right angle right here because it's only Hanbin and Alpha who are there.
Remember, this is the map they do have to win. They have to complete here in order to buy themselves additional rounds. GC Busan Wave still on a knife's edge when it comes to the Series 2. Element Mystic still on match point. Edison ends up going down to Sparkle, not the kill that you really want to see. Jungo ends up going down as well. Sparkle just dominating on the Pharah. If you take out the McCree, again, there's very, very little you can do to Sparkle here. You can dodge out of the way of Delight fairly easily on the Hanzo because you have Perma Pocket, plus you have the Architecture as well. Delight has to get in a bit more of a risky position. And Element Mystic, they can just control this high ground now. There's nothing you can do. Ritz has to go up in the skies as well to try and deal with Sparkle if they want to try and kind of tag team him. But it's going to be so hard to deal with him. Eggsy almost has sights. Barrage is going to come down right onto their heads. At least Edison finds the kills. Ritz ends up getting nanoed, but Fielder's naded, so he has to now back off as well. Delight taking the game into his own hands and takes out his like-for-like in the snipers, but the resurrections are going to come through onto Jungo and Sparkle.
The second that he got nano Jordan, he also got slept. Alpha's just going to duel out here. Orisa versus Orisa, one of the sacred 1v1s, as we've all seen in Deathmatch, and a quick execution onto Ritz. I'll never be able to stagger.
And now they can just stagger.
It's a baby
diva.
Horrible. Oh,
well,
come on,
go.
Sparkle.
Ritz, an additional like 10 to 15 seconds there staggered out. It's not too bad whatsoever. And Element Mystic, a team that has like really middling success in the recent times in group stage, have only really beaten GC Busan in the last coming weeks, are now in 2-2-2, destroying GC Busan in this series. GC Busan have to find something with this Dragon Strike. They're going to have to go for Alpha to dislodge them from this corner.
Element Mystic, though, they're hungry to go to Gauntlet. They are the defending champions of Pacific, winners of the Pacific Showdown as well. That Dragon Strike's going to claim the corner. This fight's about to get messy, Jaws.
Edison on the flank once again, but Ritz's mech already goes down. He ends up going with the Deadeye, but there's not really much he can find. He maybe found the baby Diva, yes, but Sparkle was already doing the damage to the back line. Now a healer falling, and XE sitting up once again, basically immortal in the back line. Takes out Daydream 2. Edison going for this big flank, but he is nowhere near the payload as his tanks are in trouble.
And now the clock has been drained, Jaws, but the car is now moving. Rit's going to move forward. He does have the self-destruct ready to go. That can be so important if you put it over this central terrace and put it down on the enemy's backline. MCD is going to have a hard time getting away from that, but he does have the nano. If Vexy can find an early pick here, it could be fatal.
Oh, what a pick. Daydream goes bye-bye, so does Fielder. Another double pick from the Widowmaker. XE actually on fire in this entire entire series, Reaper, Widowmaker, doesn't matter what you put him on, he is going to click heads. GC Busan Wave now have one attempt to keep them in this series and take it the full distance. Element Mystic just need to defend, and they will go to land.
They've had an unprecedented group stage for GC Busan Wave, living up to the winners of Apex Season 4, who are now amongst London Spitfire's roster. But now, GC Busan Wave, they're on their last legs. If they want to go to Gauntlet, they've got to get to that semi-finals. They've got to go to the finals as well. They can claim the championship. The same can be said of Element Mystic, and it's going to be so difficult to do this against the double support ultimates. And Jungkook's had to go onto the Wrecking Ball overtimes in session.
Edison onto the Genji as well of all heroes. That Super Judge is going to come down. Sparkle lays down the barrage. A nano boost actually onto Edison to keep him alive. He's now going to jump to the back line, take care of at least one thing, but gets booped away before he can get the final blow onto Sparkle. XE finds a kill onto Fielder as well, and history will repeat itself once again as Element Mystic take down GC Busan. They go undefeated against this team, send themselves to the semi-finals and the LAN.
And welcome back to XE. Thwarted all the momentum they had with a minute left, getting the double picks on the supports. You know, every time you see that Mercy use the Guardian Angel with the Widowmaker, they're flying straight, and they're flying straight into your crosshairs. Oh, there's an Anna left, I'll pick her off too. Both of Element Mystic's DPS doing so well, but also I'm impressed with seeing Alpha be so effective on this Orisa as well. I thought Takoyaki was going to be the choice. He had been before with their Orisa, but evidently the calls from this man combining so well with Hanbin. The halts into the self-destruct, also great. Loving the usage. And MCD, the new boy, but also the hero. And seems like Element Mystic, at the end of the day, seems like they may export a third full roster to Overwatch League if this performance keeps up.
Just ridiculous pressure, and this has been the entire series in the nutshell. Just that POV of XE kind of sitting back with the Widowmaker. Whenever he plays it, there's too much pressure coming out from Sparkle on the Pharah for really them to do anything. Edison was their last hope here, but he gets booped away from actually finishing off Sparkle. He had the nano, a dash and another right click or a left click would have done it, but getting booped and Sparkle getting up from that sleep made sure he stayed alive. And Edison being their last hope with the nano was just destroyed at the end. Like, there's nothing he could do in the Genji after that. He had like, what, 40% ult charge because he swapped so late to get back to the point. Even the Wrecking Ball came through and the Immortality field on the point to stay alive for as long as possible, but nothing could come between XE and just destroying the backline. Element Mystic takes the series 3-1. We'll see them in the semi-finals, but we got another big game coming up as well. Fusion University versus Runaway.
Yeah, we've got the Atlantic Showdown champion also in the quarterfinals now, who have had, just like Element Mystic, a very unsuccessful group stage. But of course, they're minutes of playoffs, and in playoffs, it's a fool's errand to predict anything. The entire field was so close. Like I said, they had a bad group stage. It's reflected in the wins and losses, but less so in how the actual matches went. Previously, Runaway have defeated Fusion University, but it was on a map 5. Fusion University lost out on a lot of map 5, so that differential isn't that bad for being like 2 and 5. So maybe in 2-2-2, this will be their meta. Of course, you're going to be looking to Snillo, you're going to be looking to Nice, see what big stuff they can bring out.
Most of the highlights before we get into that series, though. Sparkle on the Pharah has just been a pure domination. I mean, especially on Sanctum, it was one of the closest one when it comes down to it. I mean, at the end of the day, these kind of comps are very, very hard to dislodge. Sombra and Doomfist, I thought were going to be played way more than was shown by Element Mystic, but they were playing XE, of course, on the Reaper, who, again, had a fantastic game. Not something we usually see, a lot of kills with the Death Blossom, but he made it work. This control map's set specifically on Nepal too is one that can see a little bit more variance than we did see. I thought we were going to see maybe more dive with Winston, etc., but it did come down to Alpha coming in instead of Takoyaki on the Orisa, going up against Jungkook, who's been one of the better main tanks in Contenders' career this season, but he just didn't really stand up to Element Mystic whatsoever. It is the GC Busan curse, losing to Element Mystic time and time again. They've not won against them in quite a few seasons now, all the way going back to 2018, Season 2, where they lost and had one of their closest series with them. Can't break the curse, apparently, and again, it just continues to be a factor, maybe a little bit of a mental block for GC Busan.
sometimes teams can just be another team's kryptonite. Like their styles just mismatch in such a way that it can be very difficult to beat with no matter the form of the respective teams. But in our highlights here, like Paris was just, it was such a show. Element Mystic had so much dominance here, and we wondered if it was going to be May Reaper all the way through. Evidently not. The Pharah coming out well, and I'm liking this double main healer. We've seen a couple of times before, but usually a little bit of a rarity to go with the Mercy and the Ana to try and keep that Pharah incredibly well supported, as well as give support to your tanks. Because you can go for a Mercy Zenyatta, but you know that when you're running that Pharah and the Widowmaker, you're lacking so much in terms of your frontline presence. Alpha has to rely basically on handbin or get run over. So I'm liking that they're currently having MCD on basically keep Alpha alive duty. They've got to stall out long enough, keep their frontline alive for long enough, and keep them viable long enough to give Eggsy and Sparkle time to get those picks so that you can have a numerical advantage.
At least King's Row is somewhat close. Harbin with their self-destruct kills as well, though. Again, something from a D.Va we're kind of used to seeing when it came to 3-3, especially in EU. The D.Vas were pretty proficient, and as the meta kind of evolved later down the line, it was a little bit more easy to stop the self-destruct from finding kills. Harbin definitely had a way better game than Ritz. Ritz felt some of the time he was having a bit of a non-factor of a series. He didn't really come up on the kill feed a whole ton. It wasn't really his kind of game. Harbin just kind of outperforming him and outclassing him on every aspect of D.Va. Just once again proving he is one of the best D.Vas in Korea, eating so many blizzards as well, negating so many win conditions away from GC Busan.
Yeah, I can only think of two real highlights for Ritz. The first map of... It's so hard to believe that all the way back on the pool jewels, the first map was 100-0 when favorite GC Busan went. We're like, oh, okay, maybe it's group stage all over again. That village was incredibly dominant for the GC Busan wave, and we saw a couple of blizzards eaten by him, and then he had a couple of body blocks. But like you said, it's definitely that there's more star play coming out from Hanbin. He's having a lot more explosive performances, whereas Ritz is just more like quiet consistency, which can be good for a D.Va, but when you're looking to clutch out in playoff situations, you pick Hanbin every time, mate.
Yeah, Hanbin is definitely another player that I would like to see in Overwatch League. Of course, we'll have to wait and see how he does in the semi-finals, which is going to be on LAN. I know I mentioned it before, but I thought I'd mention it again. Semi-finals and the finals will be played on LAN, so maybe O2 Blast will perform a little bit better than they did last time around. Of course, they've had a very, very good group stage. Find themselves a bye into later in the playoffs. Next, we're seeing XE once again kind of click heads. But we have got Fusion University playing up against Runaway as our next series of the day. First of three, like it was in this series. We're going to take a small break though, guys. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back.